Hello, welcome back to Let's Talk with Sistership Heals. If you're new here, welcome. First of all, my name is Leanne, spiritual life coach, energy healer, and psychic medium. So today I thought we would talk about something that sits deep within our collective spirit, Black history, since it's Black History Month, but not from the place where the world often wants us to focus on. I thought we would talk about the spiritual side of Black history, the wisdom, the tradition, the power, the love that we have for our ancestors that we carry forth long before the chains, long before the trauma took place. Because yes, we can honour where we've come from, we can acknowledge the pain, but if that's the only lens that we view ourselves through, we end up living in a place of scarcity, of fear, and of limiting ourselves. That mindset keeps us repeating the same wounds over and over again. And obviously it's not healthy for us to be living in that way. We don't heal by replaying those wounds. We heal by remembering who we were before those things, before the hurt took place. And we bring back that very essence forward today in our life. So when we think about the power of remembering, it's about not focusing on the trauma. Because when we focus on the trauma, we unconsciously feed that narrative that we are broken, that our lineage is just about survival, really and truthfully it's about creation, it's about rhythm, it's about the medicine and the spirit that we bring forth today, that's still alive today, or in some respects it's dying out because we're getting bogged down, we're getting blinded by things that the world wants us to view or to take on board instead of other things that actually matters. So when we look at our ancestors, whether it's the Akans or the Aruba or the Maroons, all these different tribal people here, these were people that were deeply connected to the earth, to community and to source. We forget sometimes that from our Caribbean and our African heritage that we had woven rituals of healing that still should be alive today. Even though it's funny, because even though many of us don't actually recognize that these are spiritual teachings, these are spiritual rituals, some of the ones that we do bring forth today. Growing up, having a granddad from South America, my granddad's from Guyana, he would make us fresh ginger and lemon tea, often when we had a cold. And maybe soup would be involved and things like that. And even like as we grew older as well, it weren't just lemon and ginger tea, fresh lemon and ginger tea. It would be adding a bit of Ray and Nephew on top, in order for us to sweat out the cold and be, well the next day and everything. These are not just home remedies. These are ancestral medicine here, using earth's elements with intention. That's the ritual. That's the healing that we bring forth, or should be bringing forth. One of the teachings that we have from our ancestors that helps us and supports us living today. Again, my own granddad, didn't rely on modern medicine when he was diagnosed with prostate cancer. He actually went back to his roots and looked at, certain elements, earth elements in terms of nature, herbs and things like that, and made his own medicine. And he actually cured himself from his own prostate cancer here. So these are the things that, I guess this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this video, is for us not to lose sight of the medicines, the rituals, and when we think of rituals, sometimes people think of witchcraft, but we all had rituals from, our lineage is, within our lineage, we have loads of rituals, whether knowingly or unknowingly, that we can still use today. So I just want to ask you now, like, how many of us have lost simple traditions because we've been so wrapped up in the story of our trauma from the past? And with that being said, I'd like you to pause the video and actually comment below any traditions that you remember from your heritage. Those spiritual teachings, those rituals, let's keep them alive today. Let's share and build the community and keep those alive today. What spiritual rituals and teachings did you receive as a child, or passed down to you? Comment below and let us know. So within, Guyanese and Caribbean homes, everything was ritual, like I said. So, the Sunday cleanup with the gospel music, or the reggae music playing, or the burning of incense, or the sage water, or the sprinkling of rum on the ground, to start a big day, when a big day was happening, a wedding is some sort of celebration. Our ancestors knew that spiritual hygiene and community care kept the vibration within the household high. They knew this. Are we doing this today? Do you know that our ancestors used to leave offerings of cassava bread and tobacco at the bottom of a tree or by the riverside? Or that they used drums to shift energy and to connect with spirit realms, to connect with the divine. Through our ancestors, we learned the idea that prayer and gratitude is not just a thing that's done on a Sunday. This is a daily practice. Lighting a candle, burning incense isn't just symbolic. It's an act of keeping the divine connection alive within the home and within yourself here. So whether or not we practice them, these rituals, these healings, these teachings, the rhythm of the drum, the scent of healing herbs, the belief that love and light can pass through our generations, that's our DNA speaking there. So when we start to talk about, now that we are more aware, and we start to talk about Black history, let's start expanding what that actually means. Let's start teaching our children not just about the pain, but about the brilliance of our tradition, about our healers, our herbalists, and our storytellers, where we come from. Because we cannot embody abundance while carrying the mindset of oppression. The two vibrations do not coexist. It's like living in fear and gratitude. You cannot do it at the same time. So every time we post anger but not healing, every time we remember the chains but forget the medicine, we're feeding into this illusion that we are powerless. We are not powerless. We are powerful people. Powerful people. Do you know what? I know it's totally different off subject, but I've been getting a few comments on my post about my eyelashes. People making comments. I think one person said they look like butterflies on my lids or something like that. And every time I read these, I actually crack up laughing. And it's because I stand in my own power. I love who I am. I am a powerful being, and you don't have to love what I'm doing. You don't have to love what I look like, but I stand in my truth, my power, and who I am, and I bring forth my wisdom, my teachings, and what I'm here to do. So people commenting on those irrelevant things are meaningless. So again, when people try and bring you down or anything like that, it's about you remembering who you are before all of this took place, what comes through our lineage, the power, the wisdom, the essence, the teachings, the rituals, and let them not be forgotten. Yeah. So we are living in a time where our ancestors are calling us to remember. They are calling us not to stay angry, not to hold on to the hate, but to awaken to our truth. Because hate is a distraction, and when we feed into that energy, we are disconnecting from our spiritual essence, our spiritual power. And that is, that's not what our ancestors want. That's what maybe other people want, but that's not what we're about. We are here to remember our essence, our power, and have that spiritual connection. So, with every cup of tea that's made with intention, every prayer that's offered for protection, every moment of compassion, those are the revolutions of our spirit. So with the message today, if there's anything that you get from today, is don't get lost in the pain of our history, but rise in the power of our heritage. Your ancestors are not just survivors. They are mystics, they are creators, they are visionaries. You know, they built homes from nothing. They raised children in storms. They sang songs that became prayers. They found light in the darkest of places. And we need to bring this forward. We need to remember that and bring this forward. Bring this forward. So I have some journal prompts for you. So the first one is, what traditions from your childhood carries ancestral wisdom, even if you didn't realise at the time? What traditions from your childhood carried ancestral wisdom? The next one is, and by all means pause the video if you want to take it step by step, how can you honour your ancestors through acts of love and community today? We need to build a community, people. We need more communities, more loving, powerful communities, supporting each other. In what ways have you been holding on to the pain of history instead of the power of heritage? In what ways have you been holding on to the pain of history instead of the power of heritage? And this is an interesting one. What spiritual or healing ritual do you feel called to reclaim? What spiritual or healing rituals do you feel called to reclaim? And the last one is, what does abundance mean to you? Not just in money, but in culture, connection, and in peace. What does abundance mean to you? Okay. Well, my loves, I hope you enjoyed this this episode, and I hope it reminded you more that you are more than your history. You are the continuation of your ancestors' prayers, and they're guiding you, they're here for you, and they're trying to lead you in the right direction. So if this episode touched your spirit, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, or even share it with somebody that you feel as though would benefit from watching this video. If you'd like to go deeper on your own spiritual healing journey, I offer one-to-ones, and you can explore my 12-week Serenity program as well online. My email will be in the description box below for you to contact me. Take care.